We can't control them if they feel powerful. We need them to feel weak. So what do we weaken them with? Sex, drugs, violence, guns, hatred, self-hatred, skin bleaching. I can go through it because as a mental health professional, I see it in a different way. It affects the family culture.
I saw police cars just coming blazing. I'm talking about a whole heap of cars, police cars, blazing signs.
When Jamaicans say whole heap, it's about 100.
Right. Right. Mom, Dad, the security guard just grabbed me and put me in the closet saying that there's a shooter in the building.
She's like, I'm gonna die. Right. I love you guys. I'm sorry. So for me right there, I was preparing my mind to hear that this guy shot up the school and my daughter got murdered. That's where my mind had gone. I was so afraid because we had Stoneman Douglas. We have so many killings in America in schools. If you don't have the actual killing, you have a lot of threats, a lot of bomb threats, a lot of, so at that point I was preparing my mind for the worst. And I was mad at him. I'm going to introduce the word. It's cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is a dynamic where it's hard for you to admit that someone is oppressing you if you live in an environment that's telling you you should love that someone. I tell people all the time that all of the great movements that we have in history were sparked by anger and frustration. If you don't feel your feelings, you can't get angry enough. That's when change happens. I'll tell you one thing. The first night that we arrived in Kokrobiti, my son woke up in the middle of the night. He said, I can't sleep, Mommy. I'm used to hearing ambulances.
And sirens.
And sirens.
He said, all he hears is crickets.
He says, it's too silent. Can you sit with me? And I just sang him to sleep. That made me cry. He says they're afraid to level the playing field because they know that we would be. Because the playing field is not level, and look who's on top in every industry.
Why oppress a people that you say doesn't have any ability to do anything on their own? Why put all these restrictions in place? Because you have to know something, that if you allow them to be themselves and to be great, that we will take over. And that's a scientific fact.
And so I tell people all the time, Africa is not going to make your teeth grow back. Right? And that's just like my metaphor to say, just because we repatriate, it doesn't mean that everything goes away.
How to fix yourself.
You have to heal the pains that you've experienced. Some people have abandonment trauma. Some people grew up without a father. Some people grew up with a mother who called them a bitch. That is a typical thing. I want to say that. I need that to be said. If your mother calls you a bitch or a whore repeatedly, what do you believe to be true about yourself?